Hey everyone, how are we all doing? Yeah, it's been a crazy one, hasn't it? Like we've had a week of just every single AI vendor in existence wanting to give us some new presents, and absolutely not going to complain. Sonnet 37 has very quickly become my new favorite. I was absolutely terrified at my bank balance after using GPT-4.5. Gemini, always love a new model. Flashlight is a really good cheap option for people if you want to try something or you want to do some analysis over like an entire book and that kind of thing. But yeah, happy Saturday. Hello, Jean-Luc. Hello, Cicely. Hello, Chad. Nice to have you all here. Yeah, I guess I'll let people come in because, it's only just 4 o'clock. And then we can get started. I think also everything that we did last week on style 3.7 is amazing at. Like, just you use that prompt with it. It does really well. Oh my god, Kat, you made it to a live stream. Hello, welcome. So yeah. My plans for Oh, hello. Thank you. We have a guest Sam bringing me tea.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye-bye. See you. Um, yeah, March is now here. Okay, right. So the plan last week, we were looking at like how to match our style, and then I kind of mentioned that a lot of the time authors their style develops as much in the editing stage as it does in the actual writing. So, Corey, you'll have to come to Britain. You Americans got rid of all your tea. Um, but um no, you didn't. But yeah, I think we're gonna have a little look at doing some of the edits and seeing how we can kind of get things going and that stuff. So first, I'll tell you a bit about the updates. You may have noticed it's been a little while since our last update, but that's because we've been working on a lot of stuff with the website and kind of behind the scenes, and getting a lot of stuff prepared. Like, you wouldn't believe how much the preparation takes, compared to the, you know, furious typing and coding and stuff. Like, that takes it like way more time. Like, the coding is the tip of the iceberg. So, we now have something that's quite cool of experimental features. These are kind of features that we are introducing, but like we know they're not perfect yet, they're not finished, but we want to kind of allow you the option to use them if you want. Like, there's no point in holding them back while we're doing kind of final tweaks. Um and also the updates are now don't need kind of like that the hard refresh that you're all doing, so we can kind of update and do bug fixes kind of as it all happens, which I think will make a big difference for everyone going forward. It means we're not having to wait for the next main update, and we'll kind of like release our change logs as this is what we did in a week, rather than kind of feeling like we have to wait to have enough to put in one to release. So yeah, so I think that'll be fun. And our first kind of experimental feature, which is kind of an opt, this is automatically opted in just for everyone to start with, is a tip of the day. And this is kind of like very short, kind of little things that we think are cool and that users might not know about. Like the shortcut for like light and dark mode, that kind of thing. So um we hope you enjoy them. You can turn them off, you can turn them on, you can access and like look through them all. If you have any tips that you want to give us, or like you think that we should add, go ahead, suggest them. I'm always happy to, like, add some more in. Um, but yeah, I think it's a really cool way of just like, kind of having a look in app at stuff. We've also added a new way to create codex entries from scene summaries, basically in exactly the same way as in the like the manuscript. You can just highlight a word and then codex entry. We've added a new slim styling for the codex. So let me zoom in before Corey tells me that I need to. Uh, I'll zoom in again, actually. There. If you go on the cog, you can notice that this menu has been cleaned up a little bit. We have our display settings, and you can collapse all. So you can just see your categories. You can expand all, and you can also show them all as uh, compact or as slim, which is even smaller. So if you have a load of entries like this and you want to be able to just like quickly access everything and like be able to scroll through, beautiful. I think I'm gonna go. Okay, rude. I think I'm gonna go for compact for my stuff. Yeah, so I can actually to have a bit of a bigger thing there. Okay. Yeah, and likewise, there's some kind of tidy ups and different things, some bug fixes. We've started including more data like on the user end for when you get like error messages to help. Um, and yeah, I think that's kind of all of the major things. Um, no, there are no dumb questions. Um, there should not be. So experimental features at this point, it's one for um like non-Latin languages, and there's the tip of the day. If there is any chance of things like that happening, we'll have a disclaimer, and put that out. But yeah, for this, there's no like we had one glitch where you could see a box on top of another box, but it didn't do anything with your work. It just meant that you could see both boxes at the same time. So no, you're fine. You're fine to go. And we usually will. You can opt into them. It's just because this is like a tips thing. It was something we wanted everyone to know about straight away. Now, in our past classes, we've done. So this is the seventh. Actually, I didn't realize this series would kind of get this long when we started, but it's been exciting. So we've got our past classes on if you had an idea, if you had some of your plan, if you had writing already, all of that stuff. And now we're kind of being like, okay, so you have a book, you've imported it into Novelcrafter. What do you want to do next? Like, what are the first steps? Where do you even begin with this? Everyone's first drafts are going to be of differing kind of quality, I guess, or stages. It depends. Some people like will edit as they go, and so it might be like a large scale edit that they're looking to do, or it might be that you've planned every single thing in advance, like every single beat in advance of writing, and so that you've done all your developmental edits prior to beginning your novel in a way. And so you're ready to like jump into smaller scale work. If you're a pantser, it might be that you've written everything, but you've not done any edits or changes, and now you need to kind of like wrangle that back into coherency. Um, you might not have even thought about editing while writing, and so you have a first draft that you were like, future me is going to worry about this, and now future you is worrying about it, and you're like, okay, well, I need to work out what to do. It might also be that you are totally fine with everything, and you're like, this is just for me. I don't want to show it to anyone else, and so I don't like I'll edit for like things for me, but it's not like a biggie. Um so I think everyone is going to be at different stages, and because of that there's a lot of different things you can do. And even within editing there are kind of oh sorry there's a lot of different types, and until you kind of start actually looking into publishing and editing kind of the types, I mean I know before I started like actually getting to the stage of needing to edit, I had no idea there was so many types, and I was like, oh my god, like it feels the work has only just begun. So I thought I made a little graphic. So you have the different types. You have like your developmental editing. It focuses on the big picture, examines like the book's structure, plot, character development, pacing, kind of that overall narrative style. Um, if you have an editor, they may suggest reorganizing chapters, expanding underdeveloped areas, or cutting scenes or sections. So this is kind of the kill your darlings moments, getting everything kind of streamlined and tightened up. Then you have your structural editing, which is kind of like a sub part of developmental. It kind of addresses organization, flow, scene structure, making sure that events are happening in a logical order. If you're working on nonfiction, it might be that you want to do a fact checking pass or sensitivity passes. Um, this will vary depending on what genre you're writing in, of course. And if you're writing with AI, it's especially important that you do this because you want to make sure that the AI hasn't hallucinated and that all the sources that you were providing are included. So make sure that you're doing that. And then we kind of get to the smaller scale edits where you're looking kind of on a scene or a line basis. So there's copy editing and line editing. Copy editing is kind of is grammar, spelling, punctuation, consistency of like uh, the style. So like say if you use M dashes versus N versus M dashes, or your like your dialogue tags, that kind of thing. Whereas line editing is more on kind of the paragraph level. It's like clarity, flow, how everything sounds. You're taking away like all the little filler words, essentially. With so you're kind of like making everything more concise, but only within your style. So you're kind of like, I feel like line editing is kind of like enhancing your style to make it sound how you want it to. And then, of course, you have like your typesetting, which is what would happen when you're getting ready to publish. So it's kind of the formatting, specifications, image placement, layout, that kind of stuff. So, whilst at this stage, it might be that depending on what your budget is, getting AI to read the entire novel at once can get a little bit expensive, depending on the model you use. But there's still a lot of editing that you can use Novelcrafter for um, without any cost or any additional cost beyond the subscription. And also kind of those small scale edits that we were talking about. So I'm going to look into those today. And then at a later date, we're going to go more into the large scale questions, mainly because I don't yet have a full novel from my stream stuff that we can then go into. So we're gonna start and yeah, just have a little look. So we're gonna start with organizing your work. So I'm going to show off some of the tools that are native in Novelcrafter that we can use regardless of whether we wish to use AI in our process or not. Now, first of all, obviously, the codex. Tracking words is one of the coolest things that you can do with the codex, other than like, writing your characters and all the other amazing things it does. We have a recipe on this linked in this that can kind of go into the nitty gritty of how to make one. But I wanted to go over some of the ways that I use this in my writing. So, AI-isms. We've all been there. Palpable, symphony, cacophony, sentinel. Cleaning up AI generated prose can be exhausting, so we're making it easier for ourselves. I like to track these words in red so they really stand out and I can see them as they come up. To be honest, most of the time when I use the, how you can like set a color to a codex, like codex entry. I mainly use this for tracking words when I want to eliminate them. I don't use it for character names because it's like, well, they're underlined, you can kind of see them. So yes, so like here we have AI-isms, words. This is already in the, why am I saying this? I'll just give it you. But things like, well, you can see here, loomed, looming, imposing. They're not necessarily words that are bad and we should get rid of them all. But they're like words that we want to make sure that we're using intentionally. And if we see that there's like the same words there 3 times in really quick succession, it might be that we want to edit them out. But it's knowing that these are phrases or words to be aware of. So you can add in all the time. So, and also something to note, that you might not know in your aliases and nicknames. See here how it's all in alphabetical order until we get to the very end. If you click sort aliases, it then reorganizes everything to be in alphabetical order. So if you're adding new AI-isms, you don't have to find manually where it would go. You can just add them to the end and then sort aliases. Actually, that'd be a good tip of the day. Let me. We'll have to write a note for that. Um, TOTD. Right. And then I just put here a list of words we don't want. The next codex entry that I use in tracking is. I haven't been yawning until I sat down. I feel like maybe sitting down at this desk and talking to you all is making me yawn. I'm also going to turn the light on because it's starting to get a bit dark. Right, y'all. Okay, we now have head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Bit of a weird, in-joke, yada yada. But this codex entry is one I use for tracking one of my personal pet peeves. So it might be that you don't want to use this at all. Totally fine. But I don't like it when body parts act independently of the person, like eyes gazing, like the person is gazing, Bob is gazing at Jill, not Bob's eyes. And so I have here that so mind, fingers, eyes, nose, ears. There probably are other ones. So if anyone has any ideas, let me know. I'll share them. But yeah, I'd love to know if there are other words that I've kind of missed when thinking of these. Um, the yawning desk. No, no, you guys would never bore me. I could never be bored just sitting here. No, no, no. I don't know if it's just the time of day or I've eaten, so I think it must just be all the talking. Like I go from not talking to suddenly talking, and I talk a lot and then forget to breathe, and then I think the yawns are trying to make me breathe. Um, I didn't list this in the thing, but I have some Americanized spellings because some models like um don't like to follow. Oh, yeah, bloods. Oh, yeah, spine shivering. Yeah, see, this is great. Okay, ears, spine, stomach, throat, blood. Thank you, cat. This is great. See, I will also add these in for everyone. Like we can build these up together, but I think they're so important for just kind of being aware of things. And like you can see already, okay, I have a lot of mentions of these in this story. Um, in this case, okay, yeah, her fingers are shaking because her fingers have literally just been sparked. And you can like see that there are some times where it's fine, but we want to be aware. Yeah, breathing is for everyone. Like, we're not under the sea. We're not Ariel. Um so yeah, Americanized spellings just as a personal kind of call to action to keep aware of everything that's going on. Here's my tea drink. Okay. What is next? Okay. I don't think I have one here in this story, but I do like having kind of oh yeah, fingers tracing. Oh. Um I do like having kind of a words I don't like. So say if you were writing something a little more like spicy, it might be like you don't want the word moist. You might want to be like, okay, well, I'm going to highlight that so I know as soon as the AI is mentioning it, I can get rid of it and kind of keep on top of things. There are some people that use these for kind of like don't use these words, and I'll have a little look into how to do that in a moment. But yeah, it's just good to keep an eye on words you don't like as well in writing. I don't think I have anything here in this story, but usually as I'm writing, I work these things out. Yeah. Sorry guys. Yeah, thoughts and emotions. These are words like thought, felt, wondered, knew, realized. I put the American version because that's usually what gets shown up. Sensed, understood, remembered. And usually this is a kind of a show don't tell moment. I find that usually if I see these words, I can rewrite the sentence and use some more powerful terms and be like, okay, well, you can then be like, let's use these, you know? I don't know what kind of villain and henchman you're writing, Kat. Let's add those in. And then following that, weak verbs. So this isn't to say that you shouldn't use these words at all. It's more a usually so think of it as like when you're first taught a second language, often how you kind of can get around things more easily, especially when there's conjugation involved, is to be like to be plus the infinitive. So she was walking, um, uh, they had gone somewhere, that kind of thing. Whereas there might be a more powerful verb that you could use instead. So rather than like, yeah. So it's kind of more a matter again of being aware of when to do it. And like there's a lot of times like that no one is there. There's nothing else I would need to write there. However, there will be instances where it is an indicator. And so it's kind of like it's good to keep it there. I have it in blue for that reason, so it's not as kind of like standouty. You could also do like gray even, and so it's kind of like it's there, keeping you aware of it, but it's not kind of blaring out as the AI-isms and the head, shoulders, knees, and toes are. Oh yeah, um, exactly. I might put some of those in actually. I think I'm going to assume that those, as I don't write that kind of stuff at the moment, I don't know if they're AI-isms, but I'm assuming they are. They feel like AI-isms, so I'm going to put them there. But they might also be in the words you don't like to use. Um, yeah. Is there any others in here? No. Oh, so Corey's um Corey's unnecessary words. I'm gonna have to find them. But this is more an adverb spotting. Um, Let me see where these are. Where did you share them with me? Corey, can you add those to the document? Because I can't remember where they were. But yeah. Um, the sun dipped. Is there a let me go. If you've ever seen Deadlift, okay. Is there a way to tag comma splices? Um, I don't know. There wouldn't. I mean, you could tag a comma. I don't think you can even tag a comma. I guess if you had a word, yeah, sure. If you had like a word that you usually saw after the comma splice, I guess you could tag that and use it as an indicator. It might be that, so AI also often uses a lot of comparisons, or like similes, metaphors. So it might be that you add in as a flag the word like. And so then you're like, okay, well, I can quickly scroll. Anytime it says like, is there like some kind of comparison that I can just like get rid of? That thing. So yeah, okay, Corey's added his unnecessary words list. I'm going to add this in. So I went new entry, other Corey's unnecessary words. I mean, this could be anything. This is just how I'm calling it. Um, so they're often ways of like a lot of them are Lee words, like, like eagly, early, easily, but others are kind of like fake tracking or like fake adverbs in a way. So all these word tracking codex entries should be customized for your own writing. Absolutely, Corey is right. Like, it may be that you find that your writing style uses a lot of adverbs, and that's totally fine. Corey's writing style in particular is very well, he writes hard-boiled dystopian, so it's kind of very like snappy, and you can tell that when you read his stuff. Go and check out his book. Um, it might be that some of these words you're totally fine with, and you can get rid of them and just, continue writing as you were. It's a kind of trying to remove purple prose in a way. And so I've tagged that as behind the scenes. So then it's appeared in this codex group category. Are there any other ways that you guys would want to, or you guys would think of to use tracking? I would be very interested in seeing that. One way I use tracking was actually in a text replacement prompt. Or like, it was the Catify Dictatify. So I had this where it was codex.all names, because I didn't need let me just type in this. So if I do the open brackets codex.all, it lists all codex entries for me and had their names, so it meant that I could use any alias to describe, and it would help the AI kind of learn about things. I'll like know the names it was meant to be replacing. For example, it knew that red was the name of a character, so you could in a similar way use this or use kind of codex calls to be like, okay, well, here's a list of words that I don't want in my story. You will need to have some kind of description in there to stop, so that the AI can, like, so it gets called. But it's a good way of kind of doing that initial tracking, Um, so yeah, we can also take these and get feedback from AI on rewriting sentences that contain words that we don't want, such as AI-isms. Having these sentence rephrases really helps those who have English as a second or third language to know which words are okay to remove without changing the entire meaning. So we're going to have a look at this now. Let's go into chat. Or no, let's select a scene first. I want something that has a lot of I guess a lot of AI-isms is what I'm looking for. So I'm just gonna like, okay, oh my god, immediately I'm like, right, okay. That had a lot, so I could use this chapter. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to use this chapter. So I'm going to go actions, chat with scene, new chat. I'm going to pin this. And I'm going to select I'll try GPT-4 a mini. We'll just give that a go. It's easier. And then I'm going to put in, please evaluate this scene. One moment. Okay, so the colored bars are, this is the timeline. So the colored bars come when I have a section that's in a color. or highlighted scenes, and it's just like an indication. I'm going to, because this scene, well, this is the entire act. It's 40,000 words. It's quite big, and so it's slowing down my computer a bit, because I'm streaming and running stuff and doing a lot. So I'm gonna just go on to this one, back onto the one chapter to make things a little bit easier for myself in terms of like keeping the computer going. But I'm gonna be like, okay, um, let's I'm going to be like, please evaluate this scene and recommend any AI-isms that we should change or delete, um, in order to improve the sentences. Please give alternative sentences for where we need to replace or change them. And this is kind of like I'm kind of implying I don't want them. So let's see how it does. Obviously this is just for a mini. We're not entirely sure. Okay, it's for a mini. Of course, it decided it didn't like it. Let me go. I guess haiku probably will be a bit more tolerant. Okay, yeah. Interesting. Okay, so we can see here. Okay, it said yanking is a bit overwritten, so maybe there's more of this within the chapter. Um, I mean, I that does sound good. So yanking the door, Delilah practically pulled the handle off, flakes of rust smearing her hands. Versus Delilah pulled the door open, the handle nearly coming off in her hands as flakes of rust smeared across her skin. I'm not sure which I'd use, but it's interesting to flag up the thing and be like, okay, also having a verb at the beginning of a paragraph or sentence seems to be like, I'm not entirely sure why. It seems to be like something that Pro Writing Aid flags up a lot. So if you were being aware of that, could be good. This sentence here: the tension in the room was palpable, and she could feel Nicodemus's piercing gaze boring into her. Palpable tension is an AI-ism. It's interesting that it's like, yeah. Um, okay, so the air felt heavy with tension. I might be like, um, about. Ugh. Okay. Is a good one. Can we think of other ways to rephrase this? Yeah, I think, yeah, yanking is a much more, but I could also change that to Delilah yanked the door open. I like yanked. I wonder if, okay, so no, it isn't there much. So I would be like, okay, well, I'm going to choose to ignore this or like rephrase but keep yanked. Obviously this is a key thing. Um, I'm also curious, how are you determining which phrases are AI isms beyond those written in my codex entry? Oh, I do see overplayed her hand. I could see that. And it doesn't feel very Delilah anyway. Obviously, this is a chapter that's not been edited. But yeah. Um, I feel this is quite AI anyway as well. But again, this is um some of these I don't agree with. Some of these I do. I'm curious to see how it's determining what AI-isms are. Um, I feel is very AI in the rewriting, so I'm just going to ignore those. Um, Okay, I think that is a very interesting thing. I'm gonna add this as a section. Um, and do you agree with this? Do you agree with this? Oh my god. Okay, maybe I just can't. Maybe I can't have bullet points and a quote, which is annoying. Um, do you guys see? Do you agree with this? Do you think there's different definitions? But overly descriptive or flowery language that doesn't fit the character's voice or the scene's tone. Phrases that seem to be reaching for a more literary way of expressing something when a more direct phrasing would work better. Any words or expressions that feel out of place or too formal. Instances where the writing tries to tell the reader how to feel rather than letting the scene and dialogue convey the emotions. Absolutely. Yes, Cicely. Let's have a little play. Let me go. Let me. Okay. I am going to remove. So if I go onto tracking, I'm going to um, never include. And then let's do a little thought experiment. We'll start with so that was with haiku. So I'm just gonna name that. And then I'm gonna do a new chat. Let's I think it's gonna open it again, but that's fine. I'm going to so I'm gonna do something to prime the AI. In writing, we often see words or phrases used a lot. These are known in the AI writing community as AI-isms. How do you, as an LLM, determine? It might be that this changes the question too much, but we're going to have a look. And I'm going to copy that. Okay. Overused expressions, lack of specificity, um, predictable sources, and contextual disconnection. Interesting. Which model should we try now? Because I'm saving these answers, what I might do actually is just change the model. So let's go GPT-4. Oh, let's go Claude Sonnet. And then I'm just going to click retry because I've saved this now. Yeah, predictable. Okay, training data patterns. Common phrases appear frequently in training data, may be more likely to be reproduced. The same way we process language in chunks. might lead to favoring certain combinations. Oh my god. Okay, yes, it's okay. Interesting. I'll copy all of that. Okay, Gemini 2 flash thinking experimental. Okay. Okay, think of them as linguistic fingerprints. Gemini 2 flash. Uh, okay. Think of them as linguistic fingerprints. They're not necessarily wrong, but they can sometimes make writing sound a bit, well, samey and less human, which is exactly what we want to avoid for your wonderful novels. Oh, thank you. Um, okay, now how does an LLM like me actually determine what constitutes an AI-ism? It's fascinating, really, and comes down to a few key things. Frequency analysis. This is a big one. LLMs are trained on massive data sets. They learn the statistical probabilities of words and phrases appearing together. Certain phrases, even perfectly normal ones in isolation, might become overused because they're statistically very common in the training data or because the AI model has found them to be safe or broadly applicable. If the phrase starts appearing far more often, that's a red flag. For example, in phrases in today's world, delve into the depths, unveiling the mysteries of, or starting sentences with indeed or further or more, while perfectly valid phrases can become AI-isms if they're used too frequently and without real purpose. Stylistic pattern recognitions, um, so we learn about recognizing features of writing that are associated with different styles, including inadvertently the style that we ourselves tend to produce. So they're kind of saying they're trained on their own data, their own outputs. This means we can, in a roundabout way, recognize our own voice and identify phrases that are characteristic of it. So if that voice becomes too predictable or formulaic, that might be considered an AI-ism. Um, again, lack of specificity and concreteness. Okay, instead of describing the tangy, salty air whipping off Lock Key and the smell of fish and chips in the air, an AI might generate something along the lines of the invigorating atmosphere of the coastal town. While not wrong, it's much less vivid and specific. Over reliance on these less specific phrases could be an AI-ism. Um, the comparative analysis is crucial for pinpointing those phrases that are becoming hallmarks of AI generation. It's like overrepresented in. Okay, yeah. Oh, I like that. For example, in very formal or technical writing, certain phrases might be more common and appropriate than, say, in a cozy mystery set in a Scottish village. So, detecting AI-isms isn't just about frequency, but also about whether the phrase is the best choice for context. Um, oh, how sweet. Are there any other models that you guys would like to hear about, hear the thoughts from? I'll have a little look as well. Um, One moment, guys. Let me just mute. Sorry about that. Oh, yes. So I'm going to try another model. Let's see. What do we want to try? Let's try Mistral. Yeah, it was a very thought out answer. I really liked it, Cicely. Let's try Mistral. I would also recommend you asking the model that you use in your own writing and seeing how that is going, to see what that like comes up with. Okay, frequency. Oh, yes. Oh, no, that's good. I am starting to get some flashing lights, which is not fun. Yeah. Mm. Okay. Let's look at Mr. Large. So frequency. Okay, it seems like a lot of this is coming up with similar things. Um, I would say that's probably like my most disappointing answer. But again, similar lines. Flash, the thinking models are really good. Part of me kind of now wants to see what. So Claude 3.5 Sonnet festooned my prose with AI-isms. Yeah. Um, yeah, some are more prone to it than others. I know there are a lot of people out there who have like prompts that try and get rid of words that have AI-isms in. I generally kind of not avoid that, but I just kind of I'm just like, oh, it's much easier rather than like trying to work out ways of rephrasing things that then um leads to more chaos. I try to um yeah, just I just rewrite them as I go along. Okay. Oh my god, we were only on codex things. I think we've just been talking so much about AI-isms and like word tracking. But if any of you have any other ideas for word tracking, just blurt them out there and like we'll come back to them. I'm just gonna show you a few other bits. Um I think yeah, we'll show you the other bits. I won't get onto the line copy editing. I think we'll do that next week. Um but we can go through some other inbuilt Novelcrafter non-AI related tools. So we have scene labels. So you may have noticed when I write and I'm on the grid mode, I have a lot of these tags. So I've got like if it's been drunk clauded, continuity changes needed, first draft, outline, that kind of thing. So if you go into the novel settings and then to writing, you can have here different labels. So there are some inbuilt ones like that append like scene status and temporal setting. And you can also make your own. And I love using these as I'm going along. And I'm editing my work, and it means you can kind of like at a glance see which scenes you've kind of got. And then say the matrix, I can go onto labels, and like I can see any scenes. So I can see here that okay, well a lot of my earlier scenes have been completely done, like they're finished. Whereas earlier scenes, like you can see as you get earlier on, the scenes then move into these or as you get later in the novel, the scenes move more to these earlier stages, and then we're in kind of full on outline mode. So using the matrix and labels is a great way of tracking your progress across the entire novel. I would probably like if I was doing this like normally, I would zoom way out, and then you can kind of see everything at a glance. But obviously, so that people can see in the video, I was kind of very zoomed in. So that's that's the matrix view show labels, which I think is a very useful way of doing a little bit of tracking. So it's kind of in a similar way to having the codex tracking words. You also have labels to help track scene status. Highlighting and strike throughs. So we kind of very briefly went over this when there was a question about the timeline, but highlighting is great for if you need to come back to something or you just really like it and you want to be able to track that. So you can select the text, highlight it, and then a little marker shows up in the timeline. So if we have here, I might go boop, highlight that in red. And then we can see here, we've got this yellow highlight of something that I want to change. And you can kind of, I'm just going to click undo, get rid of that. And it's a good way of kind of keeping pace. In a similar way, sections, if I put this into a section and color that purple, that now has also appeared on the little sidebar. Let me just dissolve that. I also use strike throughs. So I really like strike throughs when I'm kit bashing. So kit bashing is when you have like your you might have two bits of prose and you're kind of trying to change things, and it might be that you're not decided on which iteration of a text that you want, but you want to know that it's there. Like you might think you're going to get rid of it, but you want to know what to replace it with. So you might go, okay, boop, strike through, and then you can kind of compare, and it's like it's not highlighted in any way. So you could highlight it in red and be able to access it, but you're not necessarily wanting to do that. You're just kind of wanting to keep it there in case you want to bring any of it back. And then, yeah, sections. There are so many things that we can do here. So there's alternative versions of the same prose, so kit bashing, or you were wanting to do multiple generations. Notes to self, like editing and brainstorming, ideas, just general like thoughts of like what you can do in the next rewrite. You can also, if you had a section, let me go to a chapter that has sections. I think chapter 2 does. Okay, so yeah, we have a lot of sections here. Say if I highlight this in yellow, you can see that we have a yellow mark in the timeline. But if I minimize this, the yellow mark goes, and the other sections within the section also disappear. So it's kind of a way of being able to, you can kind of like nest things. So like here, if we go down to here, you can see where we did a text replacement. I think this was the show don't tell, and I've got 3 generations here. So you can kind of like, they're just great for keeping things tidy, which I love. I like a nice clean, this to be honest is too many sections for me. I would probably put them all under a one kit bashing section. But yeah, I think I'm going to end it here. We can look at the next section after. Okay, Lindsay asks, why would you want to use sections? I mean, as I was saying, so if you were writing not safe for work prose, it may be that you want to go and remove it from being seen by the AI so that, say your smut scene was in the middle of like 2 bits of normal prose and you were writing with a moderated model. It may be that you want to hide that so that it doesn't then get brought up in later prose. So I think that's a really big use. I use it for storing other generations so I can keep my scenes clean. It might be that you aren't sure on a section and you want to have it there, or you've got editing notes to yourself. That's why I use sections anyway. Yeah, so next time we'll go more into line editing and kind of how we can replicate that and where we would want to use line edits like text replacement prompts, or if we'd want to do it in chat. There's a few different ways you can go about it. It all depends on your kind of preference and like, oh no, also what plan you're on. If you're on the artisan plan, you have chat, but if you're on the hobbyist, you don't. So that would then make a big difference as to which one you do. But yeah, okay. Does anyone have any final questions before I go? I will give you a moment. Um, this is all, I think it's already in the summary for the class. If not, it's just like just add the number to the next document on the link and you'll find it. Um, but yeah, um, this is always the awkward bit, like when there's like a lag and then people are typing things. Um, oh, you're very welcome, guys. Um, oh, I hope this was valuable to you all, and I even gave myself some ideas for different things I want to try. So yeah, no, amazing. Well, I will see you all on Wednesday for another Write With Me. Might do some more Sonnet 3.7 tests and some other models. We're getting some more out. Just see how that goes. But yeah, bye.